Part of breaking the enabling cycle is doing things that feel like they're hard-hearted. And you know, we used to have a term that we call tough love, which thankfully still exists in some ways. But this concept of expressing love in a way that helps a person actually break a cycle of destruction may feel very tough, but it's actually a way of saving a life rather than, you know, continuing to enable it. That's a tough thing for every parent to have to work with.
But let's just go back a couple steps. Those of you who are here, spouses together, or not, how is that? What was that like for you early on, and how did that enabling posture particularly wear on the relationship?
Well, our kids were great at setting fires between the two of us, and it took the heat right off of them. So, and we'd be fighting and arguing. It was terrible. And not only did most conversations revolve around our kids and what they just did and what they're not doing, but we didn't agree on the way to handle it. So it was difficult.
Yeah, we weren't on the same page. I mean, I wanted everything to be fine. Let's have peace and tranquility. And Julie was, no, you don't understand. This is there are bombs going on out there. I mean, yeah, it was terrible. I mean, we were like diametrically opposed. But over time and with some practice and a lot of hiccups, and you know, the fact is that our daughter will call me, ask for something first, but that's kind of changed.
Ours are kind of similar, but when you start out and you know the problem hits you, you don't know what to do. So we start out and we're not on the same page, and like Dennis, I was probably more wanting to just keep things easy and let them go. But I think just through the group, you learn to have, we used to have meetings with our son once a week, just to see how everything's going, to see how the boundaries are going. But Josie and I'd have a meeting before we had that meeting to make sure we're on the same page. And we do discuss things, you know, when he wasn't at home with us, when he calls, what are we going to say? We had to plan all that out because it is hard to do when they just hit you. And especially if they just call up and there's only one person there, well, what am I going to do now? So I think that helped a lot.
My husband and I were not on the same page from the beginning. He lived at home until we were married, and his family always took care of everybody. And he just couldn't see what harm it would do to help our son. And I could see his health was deteriorating. Our finances weren't what we wanted them to be or what they could be. And finally it got to the point where I said, you know, it's him or me. We can't live like this. We're on different pages. And if you want him to live here and you want to take care of him, fine. But this is eating me alive. I can't do this anymore. He's coming around, and it's much better for all of us. For Mark too, really. It made a difference in the relationship with our other son. You know, we didn't talk about John in front of Mark, and we don't talk about Mark in front of John. That's not a family, you know. It's so far-reaching, and you don't really realize it until you step back and look at it, and you realize that the whole dynamics of your family have changed.
Dean and I have known each other since we were 15, and we've been married for 40 years, and we really do think alike, except where our son is concerned. And as he got older and we started to see issues, then I was making excuses, and Dean I always felt like Dean was being too harsh on him. You know, ease off. You're creating the anger, and he's reacting to this. And for a long time, I blamed Dean. I thought that the whole issue was Dean's fault, and if he would just lighten up a little, we'd be fine. And Dean thought that I was just, you know, being too easy on the kid, and if I would just be consistent, then we wouldn't have this problem. And so it took a long time, and we still work on it, that I still, every once in a while, when there's an anger issue, I just, why can't you two just have a conversation that doesn't involve shouting? and I know Dean's thinking, why can't you just be firmer? So